Please remember that I'm working a lot faster and doing a lot more things, so you have a choice of what you want to do when you start here. Pick what needs to be done. If the foot inverts too much, then you're going to work to increase eversion. If it plantar flexes too much, you might want to work to increase dorsiflexion. And that I'm working faster so that you can just get the idea of these. During a real session, you're going to slow down. Let me remind you on the feet that this work feels fantastic. All the time my clients were saying, I've never felt this before in my feet, when it's getting done, and then when they stand up and walk. So I love having my feet squeezed, poked, kneaded, and I'm not saying not to do that, but you can do 90% of that work while you really have specific movement goals and freeing of the foot. So let's just talk about the front of the metatarsal heads here. We want to get all of this fascia that goes all the way up here long enough and mobilize the bones so that the feet will go up. So one of the easiest ways to do this is just take the toes and put that tissue on a stretch rather than working in a neutral position. So I take the toes up and get them moving this way. I spread these metatarsal heads, get that foot widening, adapting. I'm going to switch and keep my body out of the way, hold the foot, spread this way, move this way. Knuckles work great, fingers work great. Start stretching the fascia here. Work with this fascia, stretch it, lengthen it, going all the way down here, possibly with an anchor and stretch stroke, so that we're really getting something happening in this foot. And you can do this in varying amounts of intensity, and this can really feel great to the foot. Just start working on that plantar fascia. A knuckle is great. This one I'm going to have my thumb up. I'm going to put my elbow into my body so that I'm not using my shoulder to push, and just lean in and move this down. Now you may be able to tell right here where the metatarsals come in and the cuboid bone is that I am actually working on tissue, but as soon as I feel a bone down there that's not moving, I can start moving that bone. I can take these metatarsals and move it away, invert the foot, move it away from that cuboid, and maybe come into this cuboid, hold the calcaneus in a stable position. Always have your hands close together so you're not dissipating your force over a lot of joints, and start rotating the cuboid one way, pushing the calcaneus the other, switch, pull the calcaneus this way, mobilize the cuboid this way, spread it, open it this way, work on eversion this way, and just have fun getting this foot moving. So we can do the same thing on the medial arch. I think we can tell that, if anything, K is very long here. I'm not going to want to work on the peroneals or perineals here and lengthening this fascia. She goes in quite a bit already. So I may want to open up her medial side of her arch and leg and work this way. So I would then come in, here's the talus bone, take this talus bone, move it away from the tibia, start rotating it, pulling it this way as I'm working with that fascia. So I am always thinking bones, even though I'm doing a lot of soft tissue work. Then I can come to the talus bone, which has this bump right here, get my hand on the navicular and really do some work with working on pronation. This is great for people with high arches. So I hold the talus bone and the leg with my right hand here, take my left, rotate that navicular bone this way, pull it out, lift it up and down, and mobilize this medial arch. And speaking of the medial arch, great way to use your weight on this is just externally rotate the leg, as long as she's comfortable here, and knuckles, moving the foot into dorsiflexion, stretching this fascia, Coming in with a fist, nice broad stroke, just feels great here. Sliding over to the calcaneus, working on the medial calcaneus here, anywhere you want to work here. Again, knuckles, thumb up, put a lot of stretch on this plantar fascia to move the whole foot up. Move your knuckles down. Find any tight areas and work on that. So, if anything, Kay is overmobile here, and she's a little short in this area. So you'll find that with people with hammer toes. So if that's the case, we take the toes, bend them down, start opening up this transverse arch into plantar flexion, grab all these tendons, fascia, mobilize the bones, and work this way. Then we move up to where the talus bone connects with the tibia, and we have this retinaculum, this fibrous mass over here. I try to slide the tissue over the retinaculum, just work any way I can here. Fingers, knuckles, pull this foot away from the leg. All of these specific movements will feel totally different to your clients from just sitting here and squeezing. So I take the talus bone, pull it away from the tibia, work on this tissue, go underneath the superficial tissue and grab that retinaculum and start sliding that retinaculum over the bone so that it's able to move. You can certainly come in, you're not going to be able to see this super well with the camera, but come in with a medium hard forearm, not real bony, but not too soft, because we want to grab this tissue. And just use your forearm with anchor and stretch strokes. Get this foot working like a hinge, both directions. If you notice that the foot is a little tight in dorsiflexion, we've already worked on the calf in prone position here, but if you notice that it's a little tight, I love to work on the back of the leg when my client is in supine position. So on this, I want to get a stretch to the posterior compartment, so I'm going to put her leg up, which is going to stretch the back of the leg here with the knee straight, put her foot right next to my shoulder, and work all the way down on gastroc. Grab any tight areas and do think about rotation. Grab, stretch, push that foot up, and work all the way down here. Come down to the Achilles tendon, feel along here, work on rolling it, working in here. So for people when they lie on the table and their foot's really sort of locked into a dorsiflexed position, then we want to lengthen tibialis anterior. So I'm not that interested in working up when I'm trying to get this muscle to be long and lengthen and come down with this tendon and relax so this foot can go that way. So a lot of people are when they're sitting on the table like this. So this is where I really challenge you to sort of go against some of your early training that says always work up. We're trying to teach this muscle to relax, lengthen, and let this foot come down. So on this, I really like to sort of begin sometimes above the knee. I want a connection here all the way down rather than being too isolated here. So on this, I can push her foot down. I can actually get her actively moving, but I want to stabilize her leg. So I take my hand here, I can move either direction, come in with a fairly sharp forearm, keeping my 45-degree angle, and lengthen tibialis anterior. Just some nice strokes. Don't forget that a lot of people's tibialis is pulled this way, so it's a nice time to take my fists and roll tibialis and the peroneal group away from that tibia. Come with a knuckle, do the same thing. So I'm giving you lots of options for you to play with. See what works best for you, and that'll be different with every single client. So I'm lengthening and rolling tibialis anterior here. Get very specific on the peroneals. Certainly K doesn't need this, but somebody that's got a foot that's really sort of duck-footed or out into an eversion, we take the foot into inversion, grab these peroneals, stretch them, feel any ropiness. There's some ropiness right there. So I slow down and work there. So that's quite a bit for the lower leg. Let's move up to the knee. So in my early training, one of the first caveats I had was stay away from the knees. Make the sign of the cross and all of this. And as a recipient of, as I've mentioned, 7 knee surgeries, and actually my last 2 were knee replacements, which was an absolutely wonderful change in my life. I love knee work, but I go out to spas and people see my massive scars along here and they just stay away from the knees. And I love work there. Everyone that I know that has had serious knee surgery loves work there. Don't be afraid of the knees. Understand how the knee works, how the patella is involved, and do that work. Just ask people. If you see the scars, say, you know, a lot of people really like this. People will be amazed. So many people have stayed away from that. So first thing I'm going to do is work superficially here. So I get soft fingers.